Hey, YouTube. How is everyone doing? It is your host, Rebound, and I am back at it again with another live stream. So, before we get this show started tonight, I want to go ahead and just see if you all can hear me. And then we'll go ahead and get the show started. Tonight's show is going to be a little different. And I'm going to use my experience dealing with these narcissists on the day-to-day basis as a teaching moment, right? To get the viewers of the channel to awaken, right? Because all of us are enduring some type of spiritual warfare right now, and I feel that it's important for us to use our various experiences to help others not only heal, but form a relationship with God. So, with that said, let's see who is in the chat. And this is kind of an impromptu live stream. I was going to, before we start, I was going to use this live stream to kind of vent to all of you and, show you all some of the things that I experience on the daily basis. But I decided to go ahead and create a PowerPoint. Right. I know that there are certain things on the channel which I discuss from time and time again. And, I really want you all to understand that narcissism is so much more than, that narcissistic mother or that narcissistic father, that narcissistic teacher or boss or boyfriend or girlfriend, husband or wife, child, right? So this is a system that we're up against. And it all boils down to the fight between good versus evil. And so it's spiritual warfare at its finest. So let's see who's in the house, and we'll go ahead and get the show started. And to Sally and Christy, I apologize. Maybe I should have waited until I had my PowerPoint completed before hopping in and doing the show. But I did feel that it was important. So, so that's why I am on CP time. All right. So we had Sally in the house earlier today. We have Cindy in the house. Tess is in the house. How are you, Tess? God bless you as well. Christy, hopefully you're still here. JLW is in the house. We have Just Me, Heidi. How are you, Heidi? Is it is it Julie? I want to say is your name. I checked out your channel. And hopefully all is well. Miss Lightworker, that's what we'll call you. Albert is in the house. Let's see who else. We have Millennial in the house. How are you, Millennial? The shade. You know I caught that. All right. We have Herb Garden in the house. How are you? How are you? Hopefully all is well. Leilani is in the house. We have Carly in the house. Let's see here. Just check in. I know, Christy. All right. So let's see. So this is the first time that I've uploaded. So it's Jewel Lely. If I still got that. Spiritual Hulk is in the house. You all check out his channel. He's another brother in Christ. And he discusses a lot of things on his show, right? So he discusses kind of current events and kind of where we are, the direction that we're headed towards in this the direction that we're headed towards with this current agenda that's going on. So check out his channel. He is great. So let me go ahead and see if I can go ahead and share my PowerPoint. Now, so what we're going to do is we're going to discuss narcissism, right? So this is going to be Narcissism 101, right? So I'm going to discuss this. I'm going to discuss my findings when it comes to this spiritual disorder and the importance of it, in a spiritual setting. So let's see what we got here. All right. I want to see here. Let me just see if I got all my slides. I feel like I'm in class, you guys. All right. So let's see what we got. Okay. So narcissism, AKA spiritual warfare. So for those of us who've experienced narcissistic abuse, and by the way, this show will be longer than normal, but for those of us who experience narcissistic abuse, a lot of those of us who have gone through this type of warfare has, happened from early childhood, and we see this behavior following us in our interpersonal relationships, in the work setting, of course, in the familial setting, and it just seems like this is something that a lot of us have a difficult time understanding and a difficult time escaping, right? So, here on this channel, not only am I exposing this disorder and its spiritual nature, but I'm also promoting the idea of healing. And all in all, narcissism or narcissistic abuse is the battle between good versus evil. Okay, so let's go ahead and give both the worldly definition of narcissism as well as, some added bonuses. And you all bear with me. The spiritual warfare is high right now. So my head is kind of, it's kind of pounding, but I do have water. All right. So what is narcissistic personality disorder? Narcissism is one of several spiritual disorders. It's important to remember that the narcissist is kissing cousins to the psychopath and sociopath. So it's very important to take this disorder seriously, right? And it's important to remember that narcissists, you have to be a narcissist first in order to be a psychopath or sociopath. And we know that this global system that we're all in is very sociopathic in nature, right? So the world is ran by sociopaths, hence why we've seen what we've seen in the past 2 years and what we've seen since the globe has begun. And remember, because the world is in a fallen state, these are the type of individuals that they prop up. Okay. So, narcissism in the worldly view is also known as a mental condition, right? So, the world will tell you that this is a mental disorder where the individuals have an inflated sense of self, of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others. But behind this mask of extreme confidence lies a fragile self-esteem, that's vulnerable to the slightest criticism, right? So once again, when it comes to breaking down this disorder, the narcissist enters society with this mask on. So they're portraying a character, right? So this is not who they truly are. And whenever you criticize them, there is going to be some type of problem. Okay. So, narcissists are predatory by nature, seeking who they can destroy. They are liars, they're manipulators, they're con artists, backstabbers, drama kings who roam society once again with this mask on, their false identity, right? So, this is why a lot of us who go through narcissistic abuse, when we discover who they truly are, it's almost as if the person has died because we never knew the core of evil in which these people can be. In addition to their toxic traits, narcissists are interconnected to this matrix system via the hive mind. And we'll discuss more of that later. They're on a mission to destroy God's children, or people on that path as a collective. This is their world. We just happen to live in it. Helpful resources to explain this phenomenon are books such as the Bible and People of the Lie, also the films They Live and The Matrix. Furthermore, it is important to note that narcissist comes in many forms. So similar to that of autism, the narcissists also fall within a spectrum. Okay, so however, on the inside, they are the same and will seek to destroy your life if you allow them to. This is important to let me see. So this is why it's important to understand the characteristics and traits of a narcissist to better protect yourself against this type of warfare. So remember, the narcissists are demonically inspired, right? They're pawns of Satan used by him, or the angel of the bottomless pit, to destroy our lives. So once again, it's important to see this spirit, once again, as Stephen says, as the antichrist spirit. And this is mentioned in the Bible, right? So the Bible is going to give us all the answers to really understanding this disorder and why those of us who are children of God are on the path to seeking God, why we endure this abuse on the daily basis. So this is why I created the channel, because I wanted victims of abuse to understand why you are under this type of warfare. It's very, 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 very important to get, right? So let me go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, this disorder is on a spectrum. And so there's going to be different types of narcissists, right? So once again, on the outside, they may look different, they may appear different, but on the inside, they are the same. Remember, this is spiritual warfare and they are pawns of the enemy. So some of the narcissists that we include are the overt narcissist. So this is going to be your grandiose narcissist, your textbook narcissist, the narcissist who is charming, who is cunning, who has an inflated sense of self, right? And will use various manipulation tactics to draw you in. And remember, this is going to be, for those of us who have been victims of this type of abuse, it's almost this spiritual stronghold that the narcissist has over us, right? And they seem to be amazing when you first meet them, which is why a lot of us who go through this type of abuse are deceived, right? So the devil moves via deception, right? And these are his children. So the covert narcissist is going to be a narcissist who appears to be vulnerable. This is going to be the person who wants society to feel bad for them. So an example of this, let's just say the narcissist sprains their ankle, they will get a cast and they will wear it for months so that society could feel bad for them, right? And when you feel bad for them, those of us who are empathic, this is how we foster a relationship with these types of narcissists, and they stab us in the back, right? But once again, they're the perpetual victim, right? In the churches, we have the communal narcissists, right? Or the religious narcissists. So these people are going to be in charge of your various churches, no matter what religion, your spiritual healers. And they're going to use the vulnerability of members in society to abuse them. And with a lot of these organizations, you see a cult following, right? You also see a cult in the work setting, but we'll discuss that later. Okay, now you have your somatic narcissist. Your somatic narcissist is going to use their physical image and sex in order to draw in the victim, right? So these are going to be similar to your Kim Kardashians of the world, right? So the way that they encapsulate their victims is by sex, is by lust. And people in the Christian faith call this the Jezebel spirit, right? And once again, via sex is how they trap their victims, okay? And then you have the dark triad. Unfortunately, this is the woman who adopted me was a dark triad. So this is the worst of the worst. So not only are they narcissists, but they do have Machiavellianism and psych, and they're psychopaths as well, right? So this is the worst of the worst. This is going to be the far end of the spectrum. But once again, they may come in different forms, but they have the same agenda, which is to destroy God's children. And once again, for those of you who just joined, this is going to be spiritual warfare, demonic warfare. And there's those of us in the population who go through this on the daily basis. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so many psychologists, clinicians, therapists, they've done, I would say a good job at breaking down the cycle of abuse, right? So when you understand the narcissist, they're going to have they're similar. I would compare them to kind of robots. They have the same behavior. Once you figured out one, you will figure out all of them. They tend to run their families the same way. They tend to always have somebody who they're propping up versus somebody who they scapegoat. And once again, once you figure out one, you figured out all of them. So as the topic of narcissistic abuse is discussed online, the victim of abuse typically finds themselves in situations in the familial setting, the romantic setting, and the work setting. However, this disorder is much deeper than that. Narcissists are aware of who the chosen are supernaturally and will work as a collective to take down the empaths of the world. So this is why I created the channel, right? Because one thing that these clinicians are not discussing is how these demonic entities, right? Narcissists and the physical, demons and the spiritual, how they're interconnected. And so later on, after we do this teaching, I'm going to kind of explain a situation that I've had that I encountered today to prove that point. Okay. Let's see here. So other terms to understand are gaslighting. So this is when the narcissist is going to try to get you to doubt your reality. So they will say things such as, I didn't say that, or what are you talking about? Or remember when that happened when it didn't happen, right? And so via gaslighting, another example could be moving items. So let's just say you had a pair of kitchen scissors, moving those scissors in a different spot so that the victim of abuse could think that they're going crazy, right? And so typically, this is going to cause the victim of abuse to have some type of brain fog, right? And this is a part of their crazy making behaviors, right? And which is why a lot of victims of abuse have such a hard time leaving these situations because they don't trust their instincts, right? So when you deal with the narcissist, just being in their presence causes temporary brain damage, right? So many of victims of abuse, they once again have this high level of brain fog. And because they've been abused their whole lives, they're not empowered to trust their decisions. And they're not empowered to leave the situations. And so this is why a lot of people who deal with narcissists are so scared to leave, the environment where the abuse is taking, where their abuse is occurring. Okay. And then also, another term to that I want to discuss is the Jekyll and Hyde personality. So when we meet the narcissist, they seem very nice. They seem very amazing. Also, in our mind, in their mind, they will say things such, to us is you're amazing, you're awesome. And then out of nowhere, that jackal part comes, right? And you did this, you cheated on me, you're this evil person, you're a liar, you're a manipulator, right? So one of the things that the narcissist is great at is projecting. So if you ever want to know who the narcissist is, listen to what they say to you, right? Listen to the traits they say that you have, and this is going to expose who the narcissist truly is. Also, we have the concept of trauma bonding, right? So, through the cycle of abuse, this is how the victim gets trapped, right? And let's see. So, this is a demonic attack, and the demonic attachment slash stronghold is very difficult to overcome. So, this is why it's important to have a relationship with God so that you can break this cycle of abuse. It's also important not to victim shame, right? Because this is a spiritual stronghold, a lot of victims of abuse have a very difficult time leaving these abusive situations. So let's just say, for example, a woman who continuously finds herself dating abusive partners. And no matter what society does to let her know, like, you need to leave this toxic situation, she has a hard time leaving because this is a spiritual attachment, a demonic spiritual attachment that goes all the way back to childhood. So, for those of us who have had narcissists as parents, they condition us to accept their abuse. And once again, because of that familiar demonic spirit, we find people who embody that same spirit, and we become very drawn to them if we don't do the work on ourselves, right? So typically, looking at this chart, the first thing that the narcissist is going to do is idolize you, right? So you're going to be, in their eyes, you're going to be amazing. This is the love bombing period that a lot of victims of abuse go through, and you think that you found Prince Charming, or you the woman of your dreams, or the job of your dreams, right? And then slowly but surely, you go into the devaluing stage, right? So this is when the narcissist will tell you that you're not worthy. They will have various criticisms, or they will insult you. If they're a covert narcissist, this will be in the form of backhanded compliments, right? And they will also, how can I say this? They will also play on the silent treatment. So let's just say you were dating a narcissist, and when you first met them, if you text them, they would text you as soon as possible, right? And then now you're texting them and they're waiting days, right? So they're ghosting you, and they're waiting days to text you back, if not. And then they will discard you, right? So in the romantic setting, this is when they found somebody else to feed off of. And typically they will leave you and will not give you any sign that they're going to leave. And once again, this is going to re-traumatize the victim of abuse. Now, because narcissists are demonic in nature, they have to keep an eye on you. So let's just say if they leave you, if they fire you, if they play you, they're still going to keep a close eye on you. And this is what we call hoovering, right? So this is when a narcissist, let's just say someone that you were dating, hey, I was thinking about you, and I want to hang out. Or a family member, hey, I know things may not be the best with us, but what are you doing on your birthday? What are you doing on Christmas Eve, right? And so once again, or a job, hey, I know that you quit, but I have a position for you, and I was wondering if you could come back. Now, you would think, those of us who are empathic, you would think that that person truly cares and they feel sorry for what they have done to us. However, that is not the truth, right? So when you leave a narcissist, or when a narcissist leaves you, they will bring you in to re-traumatize you. And for those of us who've walked away from these abusive dynamics via going no contact, there is always a price to pay if we go back. So for those of you who have recently gone no contact, it is important to understand that if you do go back, there is a price to pay. And right. And so other things, when you do leave these situations, you will go through things such as the smear campaign. So once again, the narcissists, they operate as a hive, right? They're all interconnected. And I believe that they are the majority. And so when you do leave, this is when they will smear your name. This is when they will alter people's perception of you. and will gossip about you, right? And for those of us who are wounded, this is extremely hard to endure because we want people to see us for who we truly are. However, the narcissists are on assignment. And so the goal is to break those of us who have light in us, those of us who are empathic, those of us who are the children of God. Their goal is to break us down. Okay. So let me go to the next slide. Okay. So, how does the narcissist trap their victims? If the victim of abuse is not born into a narcissistic family, society will gladly seek out these victims. Typical traits of those who are abused are empathy, love, compassion, integrity, and codependency, right? So, we were groomed to be codependents, right? And this is something that our caregivers, our mother and father has instilled in us. Remember, in order for society to properly function, there needs to be scapegoats. Scapegoats are encapsulated by what is known as the cycle of abuse. So, as we discussed earlier, right? And if you look at society as a whole, there always has to be people at the bottom that society can supernaturally feed off of. So, this is why we see things such as child abuse, why we see things as sex trafficking, why we see things as starvation and homelessness. Now, with these creatures, supernaturally, they feed off of our pain and suffering, which is why we see it on such a massive scale in this world. Okay. All right. So, as I stated earlier, I think that clinicians, psychologists, therapists, I think that they have a decent grasp on narcissism when it comes to examining it in the carnal setting, right, in the worldly setting. But there's a lot of supernatural stuff that goes on dealing with these entities that society doesn't pick up on. And once again, if we don't examine these things, their behavior towards us is not going to make sense, right? So, once again, as I stated earlier, for those of us who are victims of narcissistic abuse, society will tell us that we're seeking these individuals out. And the reason why we keep finding ourselves in these abusive environments is because we haven't done the work on ourselves, is because we haven't forgiven and we haven't healed from the trauma and we haven't built our self-esteem. But what, I say to that is that's not completely true. That's partially true, right? So there's those of us through the grace of God who have done the work on ourselves and who are thankful for the abuse that we experience because that formed a strong relationship dynamic with our creator, right? Yet we go through this abuse on a continual basis. And I will go ahead and give you all a story time at the end of this teaching. Okay, so let's see what this slide is. So, narcissism, the hive mind, and the matrix, right? So, when we look at this global system, some way or another, this system was hijacked by the devil, right? So, within this global system is the matrix system. The matrix is a system that the devil created to destroy the children of God. Okay. And the narcissists are a part of this system. They are what prop up this system, right? And the narcissists are connected. So let's just say you piss one narcissist off or you go no contact. Now you have issues with another one. And these narcissists may not even know each other. You leave that situation and then you have a problem with another. Let's just say you quit one job, you go to an interview, to a next job, you're interrogated and you're treated like a criminal, right? You leave one partner, you meet a new partner, and you realize that the behavior is pretty much the same. Okay. So if you look at this global quote unquote simulation as a matrix, think of the narcissist as the character within this system. So you can kind of think about this global system as some type of video game with its various levels, right? So the narcissists are going to be the non-player characters. And those of us who are the victims of this type of abuse, we are the main characters to this quote unquote video game. It's important to remember that the narcissists prop up these corporations, political and educational systems, and also the financial systems. So all of this stuff is to keep us in prison. A lot of this stuff is based on lies and manipulation. And once again, via these various institutions is why we see the problems in the world today, right? So the narcissist does not want true solutions. And when you look at this biblically, this is going to be the Antichrist system, the beast system that the book of Revelation speaks about. Okay. So this is why those of us who are abused have a difficult time escaping the abuse, even if we do the work on ourselves, as I mentioned earlier, build our self-esteem and forgive others. Remember, their behavior is demonically inspired, which is why forming a relationship with God is ideal and important, right? The God of the Bible, not Buddha, not Krishna, not Shiva, not any of those gods, right? The God of the Bible, because the Bible is the only book that discusses why we go through this type of abuse, right? And once again, our life here is not going to be a walk in a park. It's not biblical. If you look at the main characters of the Bible, they dealt with abuse and adversity, right? So this is something that those of us who are in the wilderness, this is what we go through. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so let's see. I'm just trying to see for those who have eyes to see, right? So if you look at the film, They Live, the main character stumbled across these glasses or these sunglasses, and he could see these entities or these demons. I don't even know what you would call them, aliens, right? He could see that they were truly different from the rest of mankind. And this is very similar to the spiritual awakening that I had uh, back in the end of 2018, right? So narcissistic abuse is something that I'm very familiar with. I had no clue that it was spiritual warfare. I had no clue who these entities were. I had no clue that they were interconnected. And I would always blame myself when I would be sabotaged from these type of entities, right? So if I got fired from a job, I found a way to blame myself, right? If I got abused from friends or from women that I dated, I would blame myself, right? When I was going through various things such as gang stalking, such as the smear campaign, being dragged on social media, being lied on, hearing all the negative things that my adopted family would say about me. I'm a drug addict. I'm a whore. I'm this, I'm that. I would still find a way to blame myself, right? The fact that my parents did not want me, my biological parents, I would find a way to blame myself. But we have to realize that we are spiritual beings going through a physical experience. And this is why, as soon as those of us get down here, we go through abuse right away. And the goal is to keep us traumatized so that we never realize what we're going through. So if we're focused on the pain, if we're focused on the shame, if we're focused on victimizing ourselves, on the codependency, right, on blaming ourselves for society's problems, this is going to distract us from having a relationship with God, right? So the goal of the enemy is to keep us unaware of their kind, is to keep us, by gaslighting us, unaware that they're all interconnected, right? And once again, this is why when we leave one situation, the devil has 10 more waiting for us, right? And this is why it's very important to set strong boundaries. Hopefully, I'm not too loud, you all. I'm kind of on fire with this one. But this is why it's important to set strong boundaries so that you can limit your abuse. Now, it's not going to stop. The devil is going to use anything that he can to get one of his demons on you, right? And this is why those of us who set boundaries, we will start getting the abuse via social media, via the internet, via some of our followings on social media, through telephone calls, through the gang stalking from our neighbors, or when we go to the store to purchase items, we get those dark demonic stares, right? And this is because the enemy knows that you are figuring out who this entity is. And so, as an example, as I decided to create this channel, right, and share my experience with you all, I cannot keep a job. These demons know that I am aware of them for my entire existence. They always knew who I was, but I never knew who they were. And although we may not be able to see them in the physical, if you understand and you study the traits of the narcissist, you will be able to figure out all of them, all of them. And this is why I discussed this disorder. So since this thing has started, this crisis that we're going through, there are members of the church or empathic people who are unaware of this particular disorder, who are unaware that these people go in society and wear a mask, right? And they're demonic in nature, right? But society trusts these people because these people are propped up. So there's so many people who trust the Anthony Fauci's of the world, the Bill Gates of the world, your nurses, your doctors. And guess what? When you get sick by the crisis that they created, you go to the hospital seeking care. And many people during this crisis have gone into the hospitals and have not come out because they are unaware that there is a spiritual battle that we all are enduring on the physical plane. So this is why understanding this disorder is important. Okay? So awareness to these creatures is key to breaking free from this system. However, once the narcissist discovers that you are aware of their kind, the abuse levels up. This is when the gang stalking occurs. This is when the noise campaign occurs. This is when the hoovering occurs. And the telepathic warfare linked in with technology occurs, right? So there is some type of connection with narcissists and technology. As spiritual logic says, data demons, right? So y'all all know, those of you who have been following the channel, once I started talking about the dark side of technology, that's when I got my first strike on this channel. So I know we were on to something, right? So this is something that we definitely have to keep examining, right? But the narcissists are interconnected with technology. This is why when you use the name Yeshua or Jesus Christ doing a phone call, the lines disconnects. This is why we see the Hive operating via our comment section. When they devalue us, it gets so many likes, right? This is why when you're speaking to one of these demons on the phone, your internet stops working and things start glitching out and you can't find anything, right? So with my last experience at one of the jobs that I left, I got fired via a Zoom call. Now, after that Zoom call, there was no button for me to exit the Zoom meeting. And I'm looking for that button and I'm like, where is it? Where is it? And it was nowhere to be found, right? So there definitely is some type of link between the narcissist and technology. And I do believe that they have telepathy. I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds sci-fi, but they do have telepathy because they are controlled by the same demonic spirit, the angel of the bottomless pit. This is why we go through what we go through. Okay, so remember, this is not a war between flesh and blood, but of principalities. So put on the entire armor of God. I said arm of God, but y'all know what I mean, right? Put on the full armor of God. And so for those of you who are going through this abuse, remember that this is very, very, very spiritual. Very spiritual. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So my discoveries. I think I talked about this in the last slide, but let's go ahead and cover it. Okay. So I did discuss that narcissism or narcissists have telepathy. I don't know why or how, but they do. When my adopted family used to ritualistically sabotage me, I lived with them. I never saw them communicate, but they always knew what was said or done. And so I would be dumbfounded because I'm like, you weren't even here. How did you know that happened? Right. Um, and it was just crazy the different setups that I would go through. And once again, this is going to feed into the crazy making, right? And because once again, if we only look at this as a worldly view, we're not going to understand it. We're definitely not going to understand it. So let's see here. They are connected to the same stream of consciousness, aka the angel of the bottomless pit, right? So these people, these entities, they can all telepathically or tap into this, I guess you can say, Wi-Fi system, right? And they're downloaded with the same information about you, right? So once again, if one hates you, you'll meet another one that'll have that same hate towards you as if you did something to them, right? And I spoke about how they're interconnected with technology, which is very strange. I'm going to do more research on that, but this is why we experience glitches when we're on the internet with them. And let's see. And I do believe because they know that their time is short, they are really showing us who they truly are, right? So they're breaking down. This is why we see the Karens and the Darrens of the world, right? This is why this concept of NPCs is going viral on YouTube, right? And this is why spiritual warfare is at an all-time high. All right, so with that, you all, I think this is going to conclude our first class of Narcissism 101, and there will be more to come. So you all stay tuned. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some music, and then we'll go ahead and do an after show. In the after show, I will kind of discuss what happened to me today, so you all can get a better grasp of why I am so adamant about teaching people this disorder and this type of warfare or abuse. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that started. Let's see here. All right. Hopefully you all enjoyed that music. My choices are limited on StreamYard. But yes, I am back. I am back. So I guess that will conclude today's teaching, and we'll go ahead and do our after show. So I know that some of you are here for the drama. You live for the drama. So let me know that if you can hear me loud and clear, and then we'll go ahead and kind of discuss some of the things that I go through on the daily basis, right? And shout out to all of you who are listening right now. It's kind of fired up on tonight's teaching. But, when you deal with these demons on the daily basis, sometimes you get fired up. And I decided to channel that energy and bring a teaching to the channel, right? So it was kind of a different, how can I say, it was a different way of describing, something that I've gone through. But once again, this is why I feel that studying this type of disorder is very important, because these entities are all around us. We have them as friends, we have them as lovers, we have them as family members, we have them as leaders. And in my opinion, I do believe that they are the majority, hence why the world is in a fallen state. And this is why it's very important to build a relationship with the Creator. And not to be deceived by these entities, because we are spiritual beings. And so this is spiritual warfare. Now, let's see here. So this is I'm going to discuss why I decided to do the show today. Okay, so for those of you who know, since I've created the channel, I can't keep a job. And so because I've set boundaries and really tried to protect myself once discovering what this disorder was, The devil comes in and tries to um, attack me at any way possible, right? And so one of the ways that he can get his hands on me is via these jobs, right? So am in my 30s and I've had about 30 jobs. And at 90% of those jobs, I've been treated the same way. That same treatment mirrors the treatment that I received as a child, right? And what I experienced by society at large. So when I say that these demons are connected and they know who we are, I'm going to describe a situation that proves just that. So at one of my jobs that I had late last year, I was invited in. And so, for those of you who know, at the start of the pandemic, I decided to change my career goals, right? I no longer wanted to work in the medical field because a lot of the lies and manipulation, deception was revealed um, over the last 2 years as far as what these doctors and nurses stand for and how the profession has been compromised for at least 100 years. And they aren't interested in finding true solutions to society's health problems. So I decided to walk away. And of course, another thing that I needed was a needle in order to work in that industry. And for those of you who know, about 5 years ago, I was injured by one of these things. So I knew the whole thing was a scam, which is why I decided to walk away from the industry. However, I went into the financial field. And from there, I needed to start over and regain experience, right? So I found an entry level position. The job would be remote, but I had to train in office. And I got there, was super excited about the job, and I was fried by fifth generation technology. And when I say I was fried, I was fried. And I began to voice my concerns with my direct manager, right? And she said that she can accommodate me. However, the demons above her said no. Yeah, I either stay in that office and get fried, or I don't have a job. So I lasted there for about 6 days. And then I made the decision to quit after reaching out to about six people for the company. The CEO would not speak with me. HR dismissed my concerns. And, I decided to put my health first and leave. It took me about a month to recover. And so a beautiful subscriber of the channel gave me some resources to go ahead and seek, legal advice. And so this is where we come to the story today. So I looked over those resources and I decided, you know what? I think that it's best, to try to get some type of legal action because I was wrongfully treated and my health was jeopardized because of it. So I spoke to, I guess you can call her an intake coordinator, right? And so I met with her on the phone yesterday, and she let me know that she was not on my side or the side of the company, that she was going to look at what I had went through from an objective point of view. And so she started to ask me questions about what I experienced, right? So fifth generation technology, or the harms that it displays to humanity, is considered a fringe topic, right? So this is something that the medical field does not want to discuss because many people in the medical field will lose their license over this. So if you start talking about frequency poisoning, which I'm kind of keeping, I'm keeping myself censored because of YT. But if you start talking about EMF radiation, no one wants to hear you out, right? But that wasn't the angle at which I decided to take, legal action. I decided to go through the route of discrimination. And so pretty much, she asked me, why did I feel like I was discriminated against? And so I let her know that um, every other employee had the option to work remotely, right? And I didn't, even though my job would be remote. And then so she let me know, well, you have to train in the office. So that was said during the interview, right? So, I'm starting to get a sense that she's not being objective about the situation, right? And I said, well, I got hired with two other people and they were offered, training remotely and I wasn't. And, she explained to me after she asked me, did they have the same position as me? And I said, no. right? But she basically said that that's not discrimination because they had different positions, right? So um, then she asked me, what about the people who worked my job, right? My position. I said, well, they have the option of whether or not they want to come into the office. And, I let her know that the office made me extremely sick, right? And once again, she said that this is not discrimination. And so, of course, when I talked about fifth generation technology, she was like, well, I understand that you think that way, but, you know, I forget exactly what she said, but I understand that you feel that way, as if like I didn't have physical symptoms. All of the physical symptoms that I discussed with her were ignored, right? Um, and I said, well, I believe that I was discriminated against because for a year the globe was on lockdown, so a lot of these jobs had to be done remotely. And then she goes, well, this was something that no one knew about, and that's different because the world had to be shut down and we had to do what we had to do. And so it's clear at this point to me that this woman is on the side of the company that I worked for, even though she's supposed to be completely objective in the situation. So when I say that these demons operate as a unit, this is some of the things that the victims of abuse go through, right? So I continue my case, and she tells me, okay, fast forward, she basically says, well, I don't think I can help you out on this one, but we'll go ahead and review and I'll give you a call back. So about a few hours later, she calls me back and she says, okay, I think this is an angle that we can take. However, so the angle was via reasonable accommodation. And she said, however, it's going to fall through. So I don't suggest that you go through with it. And so, I'm like, well, that's unfortunate because it was clear that I was discriminated against. And it took me a month to recover. Like this is serious. And, with time, there's going to be research talking about the harms of this type of technology. Right. And so she's like, so do you still want to go through this case, even though it's not going to clear? And I said, yes. And so there's a long pause on the phone and she says, okay, and hangs up. Right. So then this morning I get an email from her and so she basically documents our interview. Right. She completely makes so many mistakes, right? So it's about 2 paragraphs that she wrote up for me. She starts spelling people's names wrong. So first she spelled their names right, then she turned around and spelled their names wrong. She didn't put my correct title. She mixed up the conversations that I had with various people of the organization. And so once again, this is going to be a tactic that the narcissist use. So pretty much the narcissist wants to go to toe with you, right? The narcissist is always in competition with you and they thrive for drama. They love when you're combative and they crave that type of attention, right? So she lets me know in the email, if this is something that needs editing or correcting, please let me know. So I let her know. I leave her a voicemail and I go and I'm like, okay, so one of the things when it comes to dealing with these narcissists, the last thing the last thing that you want to do is correct them. If you correct them, it's going to be a huge problem. It's going to And so I'm reading over what she wrote and I'm like, man, I really just want to write this for her, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, yes, like what Christy said, gatekeepers. And so pretty much I decide, okay, well, let me just leave her same sentence structure and add some important parts. I'll go ahead and correct the spelling. I'll correct the position that she said that I worked because all of that was wrong. So I sent her the email and I said, hey, thank you for the email. I made some corrections. Can you please add this in my complaint? And being the narcissist that she was, she sent me an email back saying, like about 40 minutes later, saying, I don't understand. No. So let me rewind. After I sent that email, basically doing her job for her, um, she sent me another complaint, which she wanted me to sign, and she didn't make the edits. And I'm like, great. So I sent her a message back and I said, hey, is it possible for you to make that I listed in the last email. So she replied, I don't understand. And I'm like, I send her another email back. I apologize. This is what I want you to state in the complaint. And I go ahead and list off everything. Can you please add this in the complaint? So she calls me at this point from a blocked number. And so one of the things when it comes to dealing with these entities is you always want to have a paper trail, right? So she calls me from a blocked number and I don't pick up the phone. And so she leaves me a voicemail. And so one of the things that I said, can you please add this in my complaint? If not, can you please give me your supervisor's contact information? So she leaves me a voicemail and she's like, well, I could definitely give you my supervisor's contact information. However, you allege that I made mistakes and I didn't make any mistakes. And I don't understand why your supervisors, why it's important for you to put the CEO's name in the document. And I'm going to email you right now. And so she emails me right now. And of course, you can see the mask is slipping at this point. And she doesn't give me the supervisor's information, right? And she's like, well, I don't understand why you want this included, especially if you don't have medical documentation that you went through what you went through. And I'm like, that's irrelevant. This is a discrimination case or a reasonable accountability case. So, but anyway, so then I gave her some time and then she sent me another email and she was like, actually, let me look at the document. Right. And so then she asked me a few follow-up questions. Of course, I let her know, like, I want it to say in the complaint that I went through all chains of command when it came to discussing my issue and they were ignored. I also want it to be noted that a manager literally told me that I did not look okay. Right. So she's staring at me like a demon, the manager at the company, looking at me with this dark demonic stare. And she's like, well, you don't look okay. Right. So I wanted that in there too. And of course, this was early this morning. Do you all know that even though I typed up everything for this lady, all she had to do was copy and paste it and send me the PDF so I can sign? Do you know she still hasn't done it? And so this is the games that we play, that we go through, that they play, right? When it comes to dealing with them. So what does she have to gain from protecting the company, right? They don't know each other yet. It seems like they're on one accord. She's treated me as I'm the villain, like I'm the villain, even though I'm the one who went through the abuse. And once again, as Christy said, they're gatekeepers, right? And it's like, even if you don't want to walk on eggshells with these people, you tend to have to not to offend them. If I would have taken what she wrote and wrote it the way I wanted it, there would have been an issue. And so I tried to leave everything the same and I still pissed her off. Right. So, but this is the thing. And, she's probably, if she is a narcissist, what she's going to do, like textbook. Yes. Oh my goodness gracious. So what she's going to do is she's going to find a loophole as to why she can't, perform my request. Right. And so typically, if it's something to benefit those of us who are empathic or the children of God, society or this hive mind, they will not do it. They will not do it. It doesn't matter if you pay them. It doesn't matter if you're extremely nice to them, right? They will not do it, even if it's their job. They won't, right? So I'll keep you all updated when it comes to this entire situation. But once again, she's going to find a loophole and so that she can sabotage my request. And I wouldn't be surprised if she actually calls the company and tells them that I'm going after them. So this is the games that we play, right? And I remember when I was discussing it on the channel with you all, I predicted that this was going to happen, right? And so this is why I'm so adamant about really understanding spiritual warfare and the tactics of the narcissist, right? So even if we try to stand up for ourselves, right, and defend the abuse that was inflicted on us, society will blame us, right? And what's frustrating about going through this type of ritualistic abuse since childhood is society is aware that we're going through this abuse and they don't care. They just want us to lie down and deal with it, right? So if I'm sitting in a building that's physically making me sick, how do I not have any legal ground to sue the company? And all you had to do was write up my report and submit it, and you refused to do it. So I'm gonna give her a few days, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to speak with her supervisor and probably another person's supervisor. And once again, I have to document everything that she does because I know she's going to do something slick. But once again, it's very important to have a paper trail. The reason why she probably called me from an unknown number was so that the call wouldn't be recorded, right? So once again, when you know the tactics of the narcissist, you're better able to safeguard yourself, right? Because they know the rules too. And so what they do is they try to get around the rules because they live to abuse us. So that's the drama in my life. But let me go ahead and see what you all are saying. And shout out to all of you on the chat tonight. For those of you who just joined, I really described narcissism and its spiritual nature. So for those of you who are interested in that, go ahead and check the beginning parts of this live stream. I will leave it up, right? But I want to demonstrate what we go through and, in this lifetime. And then once again, this is just the beginning stages of the legal action that I'm trying to take against this company, right? So I got them against me. I got the intake coordinator against me. You got the jury and then you got the judge. So once again, when I say that we're up against a system, right, that the narcissists prop up, I'm not kidding, right? And she doesn't know what I look like. She doesn't know me. And she treated me like a criminal when we first got on the phone with each other, right? And so once again, it doesn't make sense in the worldly sense, but in the spiritual sense, it makes complete sense, right? Makes complete sense. All right. So let's see what we have here. Yes, shady creatures, shady creatures. And once again, the devil always attacks me via these jobs, right? So I'll be invited in for an interview and I will be interrogated during the interview. I'll be devalued in the interview and I'll be sent home, right? But narcissists, they live to abuse, right? They will tell you that you don't have experience when you do have experience. They will tell you that you don't have the skill set and won't train you for the skill set and then use that as a means to fire you. They will lie on you, alter people's perception of you. So, this is something that a lot of us, well, those of us who are chosen, this is what we go through on the daily basis. And once again, this has happened since childhood. Since childhood. So when I got treated like crap by this company and got my body fried, you guys, like fried, I was reminded of how this world has treated me since childhood. And once again, I went through another situation that you all know that I just got out of. Once again, reminds me of how this hive mind treats me. And then I speak with her to try to get justice for what happened to me, and she won't even submit my request. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, so let's see here. And once again, Jeffrey was saying the way you win is through divine intervention. And I have prayed about this, right? And, hopefully the Lord blesses her little heart and maybe she can do her job, right? But once again, we are the reason why they don't do their job, right? So if there's anything that could benefit us, they will make sure that they don't do it because it benefits us. But let one of their kind come in, lie about the situation. Oh, let me see what I can do to get you $1 million, right? So I used to work in Beverly Hills, and these rich folks, they would come up with so many scams, right, to get money from these insurance companies, and the doctor was right there with them. And then you have people who tell the truth about a situation and we're ignored, right? So this world is definitely inverted, right? It's definitely inverted. And yes, so this is why a lot of us pull out of society, right? This is why we do the least amount of work possible to survive, because when we do enter these institutions and on the workplace, these entities come for us, right? So it's more than just going to work, right? And then the stuff that we experience supernaturally, how they drain us of our energy, how like we can leave an abusive situation and it takes us weeks, if not months, to recover. The weight gain, the brain fog, the paranoia, the body aches, right? There's so much that goes into this type of abuse. So much. So for those of you going through this as well, my heart is with you. My heart is with you because I definitely understand. It says put in a complaint about her work. I will. I just gotta figure out her chains of command, right? And so once again, at least I do have it written out the conversation between us, right? I should have recorded the call. It would have been so nice to show you all how I'm treated, like when I'm interrogated by these people. Because for someone who was supposed to be objective, she definitely was not objective, and she found every loophole to prove why what I went through, I didn't go through, right? So let's see. All right. Looking through some of these comments, I guess while I'm looking through that, hopefully everybody's having a beautiful Wednesday evening. All right. Oh, this is so textbook with this profession. Right. And it's so funny. Everywhere you go, you encounter this same freaking treatment towards you. Like it's crazy. I think the place that I've experienced it the least is in the educational field. Like I've had a few narcissists as teachers, right? I had one of them who was literally changing my answers so he could fail me. Well, he gave me a D plus, right? Um, but I think the reason why I don't really deal with it in the educational setting as much is because I give these teachers narc supply when I do well on my assignment, or let's just say maybe a whole bunch of empaths go into the field of teaching, right? Because we know that the narcissists don't want to teach us anything, right? So if we ever apply to these jobs, we need to have the experience. We need to teach ourselves for the position and, lay down and take their abuse, right? Oh man, but pray for me, you all. Pray for me. Pray that this case goes through. But yeah, so that happened at 11 o'clock today. It is 6:43 p.m. and I have not heard from her. Right. So gosh, goodness gracious. Oh, she sounds like a hotel manager. A lot of them are in the restaurant industry too. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, I made a mistake to correct a narc, and that's a big trigger for them. Oh, yes. And when I read that paper, well, when I read that document she sent, I'm like, this is a legal document. Like, it looks like it's reading like a second grader wrote this, right? And I think, the narcissist, a lot of things, what they do to us is intentional. So in one sentence, you spell the person's name right, and then in the next sentence, you spell it wrong, right? And so once again, this is to get under our skin. And so they want us to engage with them. They want us to be combative with them. And then they'll turn around and say that we were the aggressor, right? So it's very important. So when she called me, thank you for your voicemail via email. I would answer the phone because I know the games that they play, right? I know it. Oh, goodness gracious. Yes, carrying our cross daily. Oh my God. But yeah, so let's see here. She sounds like she's going to sabotage your case. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she calls the office. Like she has something under her skin. And the sad part is I predicted it. I knew it. I told you all on the channel. I was like, I have a feeling if I do go after them legally, I'm going to run into some problems, right? And exactly. And once again, it's just like, what are the odds that I will find somebody who will side with them, Ah, gosh. And once again, this happens all the time to me. All right. So, yeah, let's see here. Oh, man. Do they love to provoke? They love to provoke. They love to promote their own kind. Right. And once again, they're satisfied when we have absolutely nothing. Right. That's when they're satisfied. They don't want us to have anything. They don't want us to own anything. If we build something of our own, right? So a lot of you are saying become an entrepreneur. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But they will come after that too. So I have to sit down with an attorney and make sure that everything is legally, I have all my contracts in place because they will come after my business. And, through the grace of God, I will be fine. But this is the games that they play. And for those of us aware of their kind, our abuse enhances. All right, let's see here. Let's see what you guys are saying. All right, so the scapegoating as a child by a narcissist parents cause psychological implications. Yes, it does, man. And then when you leave that abusive situation and you decide to have enough self-esteem to go no contact, the abuse will come in the workplace. It will come in your relationship setting. It will come in, you know, so many settings, right? And it's something that you can't get enough of, right? So it says, I had to fire my disability lawyer. She was setting me up to lose for sure. And, you know, a lot of it, you know, one of the things about becoming aware of this disorder, you can see other people who are empathic get sabotaged too. So I know of two people who went through the process of purchasing a home. And right when it came the day of closing, they found out that they were not getting that home, right? So, and they did everything correct. They did everything right. Their credit was, everything was fine, right? But this is what these creatures do to us, right? This is what they do. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so it says, my daughter texted me from math class about a month ago. She said her substitute teacher guessed her birthday and favorite color. She was excited. I told her not to talk to him. Creepy. Yeah, I would say she's probably talking to a demonic spirit, um, because they know things that they shouldn't know, right? So you remember about 2 weeks ago, I had my noise campaign all day, all day. So I'm like, okay, these narcs are definitely stepping up their game. I go to the store. This lady passes me at the store and she's like, who's God? Randomly. Nobody's there, right? But she said it so I could hear her. And she looked at me and kept walking, right? So it's like literally demons in the flesh. In the film They Live and The Matrix, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense, right? So for those of you going through this type of abuse, don't gaslight yourself. Don't blame yourself. Heal from your abuse. Understand that this is spiritual and you can overcome, right? That the games, they don't end, but you can definitely overcome. All right. Okay, let's see what we got here. Uh Shit. And that is definitely a true statement. Like I said, if we're not a part of the collective, it's like they don't want anything to do with us. Okay, it says, I went through this when divorcing a narc. The system let me know they are against me and I'm alone. Yes. And so this is why, even when we take legal action, why it seems like there's an uphill battle, right? And I've witnessed victims of narcissistic abuse go to therapy, marriage counseling with their narcissist that they're, of course, married to. And the therapist will blame the codependent as the narcissist. And then they will say that the narcissist is a victim, right? So they do protect their kind. And once again, they know who we are, you guys. Like they know who we are for sure, which is very unfortunate. They hope that we never discover who they are, right? And so this last 4 years, man, it's definitely been an awakening process for me. I was blind, but now I have eyes that see. Okay, so as of this weekend, I'm still dealing with the demons, interviews, job shadowing, training. I'm tired of this. Yeah, and there's so many in the medical field. Oh my God, but they're everywhere. They are everywhere. Okay, let's see. So let me just go ahead and try to look at these comments from the top to see what you guys are saying. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. I apologize for hopping on here a little later than planned, but I wanted to use my experience as a teaching moment, right? And with what this drama that I'm going through now, there's going to be more to come, you guys. There's more, right? With narcissists, there's always drama that follows, always. Like, lady, can you just do your job? Can you just do it? Okay, so. And Sally, hopefully, I don't know if you're still on here, but hopefully you get better and you're feeling better. I know a lot of us, especially a lot of us in the faith, we're getting sick, right? So like my head has been pounding for like the last 2 weeks, and I feel drained and I'm consuming more minerals than I usually do. But yes, we can definitely feel the warfare, right? And I feel like the fifth generation technology is our kryptonite. Oh man, the world that we live in, right? Okay, so just looking through these comments. Yes, but all in all, you all, I'm protected. I'm okay, right? God is with me. He has blessed me. I have a roof over my head. I have food in my mouth. Right. And, I may go through, and that's another thing too. I can get on here and make it sound easy. Oh, just heal from your abuse and build up your self esteem, forgive your abusers. I may make this crap sound easy, but it's not. I am on the battlefield with you all. Right. I am on the battlefield with you all for sure. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Yes, it says the narc is sitting outside my room stalking. Yes, and once this is what they do, and this is you get a lot of these channels who talk about gang stalking. This is what they're talking about, and even me, I was like, okay, you're a little bit over the top with that. You sound a little crazy. Then once it started happening to me, I was like, oh shit, here we go, right? And once again, this is just to scare the victim of abuse, right? Um, Back into submission. But don't fear these demons. They have no power over you. If you truly know who you are, like that's all you need to know, because they have no power over you. So they focus a lot on intimidation. And once again, they're creepy. They spy on you, they record you, they observe you, and then they think that a lot of us don't know. They really don't, right? They try to get people to believe that you're crazy, right? They gossip about you, they project who they are on you, and this is a game that they play, right? And when you least expect it, that's when they sabotage you. Okay, you guys think snarks can be brought low or humble through prayer? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I think a lot of them practice sorcery too. I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to cast some some type of spells on me. But once again, I'm protected. We fight spiritual warfare with prayer. Amen to that. Right. So I'm reading the books in the courts of heaven right now. So I'll let you all know how it goes. Oh, and then another thing too about, the things that they spray across the skies. It's funny when you read the book Pray, I think there may be some truth to that. I'll just leave that there. But what's funny is when I take zeolite or boron, I start feeling better. Right. And so we know that these things help with heavy metal toxicity. So, I laid out in the park one day for about an hour and 15 minutes, and I think that I inhaled too much of the what. The things we talk about on this channel, right? Yep, narcissism is a new word for evil, right? So we have a pandemic of narcissists, right? Of the Antichrist spirit. But once again, all this stuff is biblical, right? So if we truly are living in end times, of course, this Antichrist spirit is going to manifest, right? And what's interesting too, you can look at the news media and you can see characters or caricatures such as Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Anthony Fauci. They really do look like they're cracking down, especially Nancy. Auntie Nancy, the drunk Auntie Nancy, she really deteriorating. It's just really sad. Biden is too, right? She's like the female version of him. That's crazy. All right. Yes. Okay. Yes. And once again, this is their world. So it says not engaging with narcissistic institution is key, right? I need to learn how to live off grid. Avoid dealing with government, educational system, public services when you can, right? So yeah, narcopath, right? That's what they are. Okay. Yes. So it says I had a supervisor that was on me so bad he followed me to the restroom and waited outside like I was his prisoner. Right. And this is what they do. Right. And once again, this is a form of intimidation. Right. And sometimes a lot of them will record you secretly too. And that's why you have to be careful. Right. So I knew that if I got on the phone, there was a possibility that she could be recording our conversation. And, for those of us who've gone through this, for a lifetime, we can get triggered, especially if we know why we're going through what we're going through. And so we have to be careful not to be baited into their games because, once again, they will use this stuff against you. Right. Goodness gracious. I wonder what she has up her sleeve. Okay, so narcissists have incredible influence over others, no matter what they do. It's fascinating. They get away with murder. Um, never any accountability, etc. Yes, and it's true. And I do believe that the reason why they have so much influence is because the hive knows that they are one of its kind, right? And this is why they prop up these psychopathic leaders, right? So no one has anything negative to say that's asleep about Joe Biden, right? But obviously, he's not fit to be in the position, even though it's all a puppet show anyway. But no one has anything negative to say because he's one of their kind. He's their own, right? And it's the same with all the other presidents in history. Yeah, sadist for sure. All right. And once again, so even when it comes to these religious narcs, are these spiritual narcissists, are these narcissistic recovery coaches, once again, you have to study their fruit. You have to study their traits so that you're not deceived by them. A lot of the narcissistic recovery channels, the big ones, are actually ran by narcissists, you guys. And they attract these huge followings, right? So, like, empathic people will get deceived by these people and they'll use that to scam others. And when you first get out of this abuse or when you first recover from this type of abuse, a lot of us are going to be trusting of these entities because this is all we've known, right? So, this is going to be another reason why you should heal from the abuse. You should really understand their traits so that you can not be deceived by them. But, a lot of us are going to be attracted to narcissists. We're going to trust them. And every time they sabotage us in the beginning, we'll make what is it? Excuses for them. All right. It is burning up over here, you guys. I think today was like 80 degrees. Yeah, their eyes are very telling, right? And I always talk about the concept of narc eyes. And for those of you who have eyes to see, you can clearly see that their eyes are different from ours. They're definitely different. I know you all can't see me, but they're definitely different from ours, right? Okay. All right. All right, you guys. So we've been on here for an hour and 23 minutes. And yes. Oh my God. I can't stand this stuff. I'm not going to read it out loud though. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, so it says, yes, rebound, same here. The more I can't, the more are coming out, right? Of the woodworks. Yeah. So once you identify one and you set boundaries, there will be more that come. Right. And there's this obsession that they have with us, right? So it's like, oh, why do you guys always talk about narcissism? Blah, blah, blah. Everybody's a narcissist, this and that. Remember that they're predators, right? So they're going to seek us out, right? And so if you're unaware, you'll just keep getting sabotaged. And you guys, it can get bad. It can get bad. If they can get away with offing you, they will, and make it look like a mistake, like they will. So it's very important. It says, Leilani says, you never cease to give me a new awareness. Thank you. I'm trying, you guys. This is the only thing that really gives me purpose right now, right? That and getting my soul together, right? But it comes to a point in your awakening where you don't even want to participate in the system anymore. Like, I used to be the most optimistic person that I knew. And now I'm like, oh, I don't even want to deal with it. All right, let's see here. All right. Yes. So us that seek wisdom and knowledge, unfortunately, comes great sorrow and loneliness. Yes. And so, yeah, I've been experiencing that too, right? So, like, we all know that, well, for those of you who have a biblical faith, we know that we're living in end times. And what brings me sorrow is seeing the ark closing, seeing that ark door closing. And so many people don't even see it. So many people don't even understand that we're in WW3. And we've been in it since 2020. People don't understand the harms that is coming across the planet. And they're still trying to live their lives, right? Their social media, picture perfect lives. And it brings us great sorrow to know that ark door is closing and many people don't see it. And there's nothing that we can do to bring them to the truth. We can have these conversations, but those of the world, they don't care to hear it, right? So let's see here. And once again, loneliness is also important, right? So the Bible says to be equally yoked. And, I used to say, well, God is love and we should love everybody and we should accept everybody. But when you truly understand the behavior of these entities, when you have them close, this is when they can really attack you. So it's very important to be equally yoked so that you can limit this type of abuse, right? There's nothing worse than marrying somebody like this, right? And having children with someone like this, right? Or working under someone like this, because when you least expect it, they will sabotage you. And not only will they sabotage you, they will try to destroy you and your life. So if it means taking your children away from you, they will try that. If it means taking you to court, saying that you're crazy, right? So a lot of people who have given their lives over to God, their spouses will take them to court and say that they're crazy and delusional. And but once again, when it comes to God's children, you don't mess with us because there is a price to pay. And these demons know it. That's why everything they do to us is covert, and it's a whole bunch of small attacks. They never really get us with huge attacks because they know that there is a price, but they also can't help themselves. Like they can't, right? So like even my last situation, she couldn't help herself. That's who she is. Right. And once again, that's unfortunate, but let's see, let me scroll down. I'm not going to get through all the comments today. If there's something that you wanted me to read, go ahead and rewrite it because we got a lot of comments. All right. Goodness gracious. And y'all pray for me because my brain, man, this fifth generation is something else. Okay. Let's see here. It says, I like the fire you have on this live. Yeah, I mean, it's just you all, like, a lot of people ain't about this life, like living this, right? And then going through it on the daily and trying to teach about it. Oh man, it's difficult. But I just want people to understand its significance, right? And so that victims of abuse know that they're not alone, right? And that once again, they can heal from this type of abuse, right? But these therapists, these clinicians, they try to make it sound so easy. Oh, all you have to do is go no contact and build your self-esteem and forgive, and life will be great and you won't go through these problems. I'm like, wrong, wrong, wrong. I'm like, where in the Bible does it say that at? Right. And once again, people try to knock the Bible, but all the answers are in the Bible, right? So when you look at Yeshua, Jesus Christ, as the ultimate scapegoat, right? Society put all their problems onto him. They projected who they were onto him. And he took on all that abuse and he was undeserving of it just so that we can have a shot at eternity. You can't tell me that that ain't love, right? You can't tell me that because he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to do it. And it's like, even though for those of us who try to be right, we still mess up. We still fall short. We're not perfect. And to have a creator that will come down here in this trash that we live in or that we call life to save us, right? You can't tell me that that's not love. And for those of us who've been victims of abuse, we know what it feels like to be ostracized by society where no one in this fucking world loves us and everyone treats us like shit. And they want us to accept that and live a life of being treated like shit ritualistically on the daily basis. And they do everything to silence us and tell us that the abuse that we go through, we never go through it. And they all know we do. But anyway, goodness gracious, you all. But yes, I am on fire, I guess you can say. Oh, man. Okay, let's see here. Just looking through some of these comments, you all. Some I know are Catholics. They are demonic. Oh, you can look at the Catholic symbolism. I mean, why would you build a church with demons on it, for crying out loud? And the world, the majority of them are Catholic, right? Not saying that good people aren't in that faith, but they need to come out, right? You got the Mother Teresa's of the world and the Pope. They don't care about people. All they care about is their false image and virtue signaling to act like they're good people. And then they believe that they're gods. It's like, get out of here. Okay. Yeah, bad frequencies today and in the sky. Yeah. And once again, why they hate us so much, right? It's like, can we just go through life without being abused? You got to spray shit on us. You got to fry us, right? In order for us to get on these various online interfaces, we got to use the technologies that's harming our body. Oh my goodness gracious. Right? And then look at what they do to our children. As soon as they get here, it's like, let's inject them with poison. But let me shut up before YouTube comes after me. Okay. Yeah, prayer is amazing. And once again, these situations will bring us closer with God, right? They will. But we got to talk about the ugly, because there's a lot of people in the faith who don't want to talk about the ugly, and they always play into the enemy's hand, right? So not everything about walking this walk is flowery. Really isn't. And, you know, I don't say this to be pessimistic, but it's important to explore the dark side, or the dark side of what we go through. Okay, you guys. So I've been on here for an hour and 30 minutes. So let me know if you all have any questions, and we'll go ahead and get off of here. And yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, tapped out without consent in California. It's completely illegal. I would sue. Wait, I would hope to be tapped without. Yeah, so we'll see. You know the law, right? I may be communicating with you earlier. I mean, with you later, depending on, you know, with in regards to this situation. We'll see. Okay. All right. Get some sleep. Yeah, I'm about to hop off of here too. You seeing more narc eyes. Yeah, they out here. It's really easy to capture the narc eyes and still photos for those of you who are trying to understand that phenomenon. Hey, Donna, how are you? Hopefully all is well. Okay. Did this start today, 2 years ago? Did my abuse? Let me see. So it says rebound. Thank you. They all are in this clown show together. Did this start? Yeah, 2 years ago. Yes, it did. So the goal was first, let's needle the population, and then move to stage 2 of the abuse, right? So this warfare that we're going through, it's not going to stop, right? Society is just getting conditioned for what is to come. And then you got to ask yourself, why do they all want us on these various lockdowns? Is it something that they don't want us to see, right? So what could be coming that they're trying to hide? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Right. And so, you know, my channel, a lot of channels talk about narcissism, right? And we have a lot of Christian channels here too. And so I just wanted to kind of like marry the two, right? Because I think discovering what this disorder is a huge piece of the puzzle to help and awaken the God's children, right? Because once again, the ultimate goal here is to get victims of abuse to heal and to foster a relationship with our Creator. That's the goal here, right? And it's about, you know, I'm doing it by exposing the enemy. Okay, so rebound. Any times you dealt with narcs within your past? Have you seen their demonic form? Oh yeah, as a child. Let me see what else, if that makes sense. Oh, it makes complete sense. I've seen something demonic recently and didn't know if others been through it. Yes. So, okay, so how can I explain this? So the narcissists, we know that they're struggling with something supernaturally, right? And I believe that if you don't have the spirit of God, right? So I don't know if the narcissists are biologically different from us, but I understand that they are spiritually different from us. And so I believe if you don't have the spirit of God in you, then the enemy could use you as a vessel to attack God's children. And so a lot of us, we know all too well of exercising these demons without even trying. And so growing up, I would be abused on a daily basis. And so one of the things that my family would do was they would lie and manipulate me. And I noticed that when they were taken over by this demonic spirit, with my adopted mother, it would happen in the mornings, right? So All of a sudden, she would stop in her tracks and her head would slowly turn in my direction with this dark demonic stare. And as a 7-year-old boy, I would say, "Oh my God, not again." And then she would come at me. First, she would blame me for something that I didn't do, and it would be this most outrageous crime that you can think of. And I'm getting to learn this lady because I was adopted at 7 years old. And something would take over her, and she would lock me in a room, and she would beat the living shit out of me. And it was like I kind of compare it to a pit bull. And she would literally, there was nothing that could stop her. And so then, my adopted father would intervene and pull her off, right? She was a very stocky woman. And when it came to my type of abuse, she made sure that she like got me with jump ropes, extension cords, branches off trees. There was one time she took a metal pole to me, a bat to me, right? So when I talk about this abuse, and you guys may think that I haven't gone through shit. I've gone through it. And then to go through it and have all these bruises and scars on you, and the family looking at you, family of 30 to 50 people looking at you like you deserve it, right? On top of that, sitting in your special ed class, knowing that you're not supposed to be in there, but the family wants you to be dumb and slow so bad that there's nothing that you can do to get out. And the only reason I got out is because my adopted mother died. Same thing with my adopted father. Something would take over him. So I could be helping him do yard work. Out of nowhere, I would get punched in the face. Out of nowhere, right? So it's like the demon hops in him. I'm punched in the face. Have no clue why. I'm dumbfounded. There's nothing that you can do to ever please these people, right? So he had multiple children, and he was a reverend, right? So people thought he was this amazing man. And the man that everybody loved hated me, right? There was another time he was driving me to school. There was a car coming down a hill. He was making a left turn. I believe something took over him. He turned the car right in front of the car that was coming down the hill and almost hit me, right? So, but all in all, we're protected, and you don't mess with God's children. My adopted mother died of stage 4 cancer within 2 years of adopting me. And my adopted father got dementia, didn't know who he was or where he was once I left the abusive environment. So we're protected. And but this is some of the stuff that we go through, right? I've also seen that demonic stare or that demon manifest through the way people stare at me. And once again, they freeze, their head slowly turns in your direction. They look at you with a high level of disgust. And literally, it could come from somebody who you thought you were cool with, who you were friends with, or a neighbor. And as you start waking up to this disorder, you will start to see more in your life. And it's like unbelievable. And this is why so many of us who awaken, this is why we have CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, because literally we've been in a war our whole lives and didn't even realize it. Okay, let's see here. They have the best and worst memory. Let's see here. I don't know what that's pertaining to. Maybe in the form of gaslighting. Yes, it's a battle for the soul. And so society wants us to be angry. They want us to be stuck in our abuse. They want us to be perpetual victims. And then they also want us to blame God for the abuse that we endure. So they want us to be like, Lord, why does this always happen to me? I'm such a victim. And it's like they're forgetting that humanity has free will, right? And once again, we're abused for a reason, right? And if my life was easy and I didn't go through this, I probably would think to myself, well, I don't need a God, or God is cool, but I'm more concerned about making money and having a mansion, right? But when you go through this stuff on the daily, you run to God. You're like, Lord, I need you to save me from this, because I used to read the Bible growing up, and I used to be like, why is the Lord so stern? Like, the world is not that bad. But the thing was, I wasn't awakened to what this world actually was, right? Like I told you all, like I used to think that this nation was the most beautiful nation, and it was under God, and we were spreading democracy all throughout the world. I used to think doctors healed people and everything, was fair and just. Wrong. Oh man. Oh no, what you call it? I've done the work on myself, right? So I've forgiven even my adopted mother and father. I've forgiven them. My biological parents, I've forgiven them too. But I just feel like it's important to be raw with you all because I've gotten some comments and emails, pretty much accusing me of not going through what I went through. And once again, a lot of you will compliment me and you'll be like, well, I want to be just like you. And, you make it sound so easy. And I'm like, it's not easy. It is not, right? It is not. It's a battle every day. All right. Blue, how are you? Hopefully, all is good. Yeah, I'm kind of not holding back tonight, right? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. All the abuse to submit. How is that living? Yeah, right. How is it, right? It's I was gonna say something, but I forgot. Let's see here. Yeah, and so once again, society, they may not experience the extremes that a lot of us who are in the truth experience, but they're also traumatized as well, and they live in fear, and they since they don't have a relationship with the creator, these psychopaths that can run the world can tell them you take this thing or else, and they just listen. They bow down. They play Russian roulette with their lives because they don't value themselves and they don't know who they truly are because they don't have a relationship with the creator. And the people who they side on and who they defend, they don't care about them either, right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Carly. Thank you. I know the PowerPoint idea, there's been so many times that I wanted to get up and do a PowerPoint. And then of course I get lazy. And of course the whole time, things were going wrong and my head was hurting, but I'm like, you know what? We're going to do this because this is important. All right. All right. Okay, you all. So let's see. I keep saying I'm gonna get off of here and like I don't. So let me hurry up. Let's see how much we got. All right. All right, everybody. Have a great night. I think that was enough for one sitting. Let's see here. And then, honestly, I'll be back on here later and we will go ahead and continue the conversation. So I don't know when we're going to have our next teaching, but yeah, thank you for joining Narcissism 101, exploring the spiritual side of this disorder. And with that said, hopefully everybody has a beautiful, lovely night. Keep me in your prayers, and I will keep you in mind. And until the next time, you all, take care. So I'll leave it up for a second while we play our outro music, and then we will go ahead and get up out of here.